in the war. People generally think of Hitler at the Eagle's Nest, his actual bunker. But in reality, he spent over 800 days at the Wolf's Lair. It was by far the most used of all his headquarters.
For years, historians believed Nazi Germany's secret weapons had all been uncovered. But one discovery rewrote that story. In 1945, U.S. forces reportedly found a strange aircraft hidden in a secluded hangar, a sleek flying wing that looked decades ahead of its time. Designed to slip past radar and deliver a devastating payload, it was unlike anything flown during the war. Why was it kept secret for so long? And could it have altered history if it had reached the skies? Discovery of the unknown aircraft. In April 1945, as American soldiers advanced deeper into Germany's remaining strongholds, they stumbled upon a secret that challenged everything they thought they knew about Nazi weaponry. Hidden inside a concealed hangar was an aircraft unlike any they had seen before. Futuristic, sleek, and strangely silent. This wasn't just another warplane. It was built using technology decades ahead of anything flying at the time. The discovery stunned those who found it, raising questions about how much the enemy had been hiding. What made the plane so unusual wasn't just its appearance, but what it was designed to do. It had capabilities no conventional aircraft possessed during World War II. Yet despite the significance of this find, knowledge of the aircraft was locked away, classified for 70 years. Why would such a revolutionary piece of technology be kept under wraps for so long? This mystery adds layers of intrigue around an airframe that was unlike anything the Allies had imagined. The aircraft's radical design baffled the engineers who examined it. Unlike traditional planes with a fuselage and tail, this was a flying wing, a shape that looked more like a bat in flight than a bomber or fighter. The discovery not only surprised military personnel,
military thinkers who had witnessed the stalemate of the First World War conceived strategic bombing,
but also threatened to rewrite what the world understood about aviation history during the war. The soldiers could only guess at the implications as they dismantled the strange craft piece by piece. At first glance, the aircraft's structure appeared fragile. Instead of the usual metal hulls, much of the plane was constructed from wood, covered in layers of plywood and innovative glue mixtures. This wood construction seemed like a wartime shortage compromise, but deeper analysis revealed it was a deliberate strategy to confuse enemy radar. The innovation hidden in this unusual design would later prove to be a glimpse of the future of stealth technology. As the Allies pieced together the airplane's story, it became clear this was more than just an experimental craft. The plane's purpose and potential impact were far darker and more ambitious than many anticipated. What the United States had uncovered in that hangar was a weapon that, if completed and deployed, might have changed the course of the war, if only it had flown in time. The American soldiers' discovery marks the beginning of an extraordinary story of hidden genius and desperate innovation in the darkest days of World War II.
As the brothers work in seclusion on Hitler's America bomber, their flying wing fighter is about to make history.
It calls into question how much Germany might have advanced had the war continued. The secrecy surrounding the aircraft only fuels speculation about what was truly possible. This unknown weapon lay dormant in silence, waiting for decades until its story finally came to light. Yet, even with all its promise, the plane never saw combat. Technical challenges, material shortages, and the rapid collapse of Nazi Germany meant that this futuristic flying wing remained largely unfinished and grounded. Its potential was left unrealized, though its legacy would live on quietly in the shadows. This astonishing find challenges simplistic narratives about wartime technology and innovation. It demonstrates how close the world came to a leap in aerial warfare, one shrouded in secrecy and lost to time for decades. Understanding this plane means diving back into the origins of its radical design and the visionaries behind it. This story didn't begin with secret hangars or hidden labs, but with two brothers who dreamed of changing the sky itself. The Horten brothers' vision. Walter and Reimar Horten, were two German brothers whose passion for flight took root in the 1920s, a time when Germany's military aviation was stifled by the Treaty of Versailles.
At a meeting of the German Labour Party held on the 24th of February, 1920,
with conventional aircraft banned, gliding became a national pastime, and the Hortens engaged in it with vigor. They spent countless weekends crafting simple wooden gliders on rolling hills, learning about lift and aerodynamics firsthand. Their humble beginnings hinted at ambitions far beyond hobby flying. What truly set the Hortens apart was their skepticism toward traditional airplane design. At the time, nearly every aircraft featured a distinct fuselage, a tail, and vertical fins, components that provided stability but also generated significant aerodynamic drag. The Hortens realized these extras slowed planes down and demanded higher fuel consumption. As practical engineers and dreamers, they wondered what would happen if an airplane had no separate body or tail, just a wing that did all the work. This radical idea of a flying wing was not merely theoretical. The brothers built experimental models in their parents' garage, using cheap plywood and glue. Their gliders flew not only successfully, but with unexpected smoothness and efficiency. Without the traditional bulk, the aircraft stayed aloft longer and handled differently, revealing benefits that challenged decades of aerospace convention. Yet, turning these backyard models into a practical warplane was another matter entirely. Developing such an aircraft required resources, manpower, and technology that the Hortens did not initially possess. They faced the impossible demand to create a machine that met stringent wartime needs, while the fabric of Germany's aviation industry was deteriorating rapidly.
Prompted the British War Cabinet to sanction a campaign of strategic bombing against German industry.
Despite several bold ideas proposed by many engineers across the country, funds and materials were scarce. The war's worsening tide left little room for radical projects, at least in the early years. It wasn't until 1943, when the war was turning grim for Germany, that the Hortens finally secured the support they needed. Their timing coincided with increasing desperation inside the Reich's military leadership, which sparked a rush for miracle weapons to change the war's course. This struggle laid the ground for the Horten's flying wing to be taken seriously and pushed forward with significant backing. The design possesses original elements that create a fresh impression. Many people considered the flying wing design to be an interesting design. The brothers' standards for success increased when Hermann Göring presented a difficult engineering challenge. The Luftwaffe commander Göring needed a new aircraft design that would help his forces recover from heavy losses. He issued what came to be known as the 3x1000 challenge. The challenge required designers to create a bomber that could transport 1,000 kilograms of bombs while flying 1,000 kilometers at a speed of 1,000 kilometers per hour. At that moment in 1943, such specifications bordered on fantasy. The fastest piston-engine military planes could only reach a maximum speed of 700 kilometers per hour during dives, while heavy bombers maintained a slower speed. The introduction of jet engines created an urgent need for fuel, which made the triple achievement goal seem impossible to meet. The Air Force sought new solutions to their existing problem. The Hortens believed their flying wing design would solve their fuel efficiency challenges because it decreased drag. The design allowed pilots to achieve speed and distance targets without suffering fuel consumption penalties, which affected conventional aircraft. The military requirement, combined with innovative thinking, created an opportunity that advanced the development of flying wing technology. The secret to this leap forward was not just the shape, but the technology and materials that brought their design to life. Project 3x1000 Challenge. In the midst of 1943, Hermann Göring's Luftwaffe confronted an existential crisis. Allied bombers were leveling German cities, critical factories were ablaze, and the Air Force was running dangerously low on planes and trained pilots. The war's momentum was slipping. To combat this, Göring announced an audacious demand known as Project 3x1000, an aircraft that carried 1,000 kilograms of bombs, flew 1,000 kilometers, and reached 1,000 kilometers per hour. This triad of requirements stretched aviation technology to its limits. To grasp the enormity of this challenge, it helps to compare it with what existed at the time. The fastest fighters could barely break 700 kilometers per hour, and that only in a steep dive. Long-range bombers, laden with heavy payloads, typically topped out around 400 kilometers per hour. Jet engines, which promised higher speed, were still new and faced the paradox of consuming fuel faster than planes could carry it for long distances. Conventional engineering seemed poised to fail at this demanding combination. German aircraft companies like Messerschmitt and Junkers were skeptical.
Messerschmitt, Junkers, aircraft companies that equipped Hermann Göring's Luftwaffe.
Many engineers thought Hermann Göring's expectations bordered on delusional. Piston engines were hitting their physical performance ceiling, and jets, though revolutionary, were impractical for sustained missions over long distances with heavy bombs. The math, mechanics, and materials each told a story of impossible trade-offs. Yet, amidst widespread doubt, the Horten brothers saw potential. Their flying wing design dramatically reduced aerodynamic drag since it eliminated the fuselage, tail, and vertical stabilizers. This meant less fuel burn even at higher speeds, which made the 3x1000 challenge more than just a dream. It was the only concept that plausibly met all three requirements simultaneously. This aerodynamic advantage transformed the project from an impossible idea into a viable, if risky, solution. The Horten completed their comprehensive design work for their new aircraft model, which they named Ho-229. The designs received approval from Göring after he reviewed them because he considered them scientifically valid. The project received special treatment, which included funding support that exceeded normal levels because he approved the complete development of the project. The flying wing design received its first demonstration at that time because it represented a groundbreaking experiment that researchers had never tested before. The project received total financial support, which allowed them to use resources from their other projects. The German government needed this project because it required a revolutionary solution that needed direct access to all necessary resources for rapid aircraft development. The Hortens brought together the best engineers, while they received permission to create new designs that used unexplored materials. The Ho-229 project focused on developing military strategies that used advanced stealth capabilities that resulted from its construction using modern materials. The flying wing design functioned as a new weapon because of its ability to stay hidden from enemy radar detection. The design evolution created a new design approach, which introduced German aviation to completely new technological advancements that would remain superior to other technologies for many years. As the Flying Wing project gained momentum, its technology and purpose became clearer, revealing a hidden aspect of Germany's war effort with consequences that stretched far beyond the battlefield. The Flying Wing technology. The Ho-229 was a radical departure from every plane the world had ever seen. While most aircraft relied on a fuselage, tail, and vertical fins for stability and control, the flying wing design discarded these elements entirely. Instead, it combined the body and wings into one smooth, curved structure, reducing the surface area exposed to air resistance. This innovation allowed the aircraft to fly faster and farther than conventional designs, offering a glimpse of aviation's future decades ahead of its time. Its construction added another layer of technological brilliance. Allied engineers who examined the plane after the war were surprised to find it mostly built from plywood, not metal. They initially assumed Germany was desperately conserving materials, but a deeper investigation revealed a different motive. The wood and glue mixture incorporated charcoal and sawdust, materials specifically chosen to absorb radar waves rather than reflect them. This innovation effectively made the Ho-229 the world's first stealth aircraft. The existing radar systems functioned by sending radio waves to bounce off metal objects, which returned the waves back to the system. The radar screen showed metal aircraft as separate blips, which initiated early warning responses from defenders. The Hortens built their plane using wooden materials combined with carbon composite reinforcement, which created a structure that radar waves could either pass through or absorb, thus achieving near-total detection avoidance. The system brought about revolutionary changes that disrupted established methods used for aerial defense systems. The steel frame inside the wing provided structural support, which maintained its coverage with radar-absorbing wood materials. The system combined traditional metal strength with new stealth technologies, which required advanced technical expertise and a deep understanding to accomplish. The team created an elegant solution that solved a complex problem that required building a fast, long-range bomber that could avoid detection by Allied radar systems that detected enemy planes from their targets. The flying wing design brought its most significant benefit through its ability to minimize air resistance. The HO2-29 design eliminated conventional fuselage and tail components, which decreased its aerodynamic drag and improved its fuel efficiency. The efficiency once again proved essential because the war restricted resource availability, while early jet engines required substantial amounts of fuel to operate. The design provided two major benefits because it achieved silent operation and it enabled performance capabilities which exceeded the restrictions found in all contemporary piston and jet engine aircraft. The flying wing design presented difficulties that pilots found challenging to overcome because it lacked a tail and vertical stabilizers, which made the aircraft behave in unpredictable ways. The plane required different control methods because engine failure made it hard to maintain balance during flight. During prototype testing, the difficulties appeared, but skilled pilots and additional improvements made it possible to handle them. The crew made their first attempt to operate an aircraft that had no previous testing of its new aerodynamic characteristics. The HO2-29's power came from twin-jet engines, which engineers installed inside the wing structure to decrease both drag and noise emissions. The aircraft design features a streamlined body shape, which allows it to achieve high speeds while maintaining stealth capabilities and carrying heavy loads. The weapon system functioned as a remote-controlled device that could breach enemy defenses to deliver a powerful attack. The war ended before Germany achieved its full technological capabilities, which resulted from their industrial decline. The flying wing design showed technical intelligence, which used radar-evading materials to design new aerial combat techniques. Pilots needed to achieve both invisibility and the ability to fly fast, as well as having strong firepower. The transformation was not understood or used again until the development of contemporary stealth bombers established a new standard. The HO2-29 design introduced advanced features that remained unknown to the public at that particular historical moment. Its design left a lasting impression on post-war aviation, influencing aircraft that flew years after the Second World War ended. Yet, understanding its true value requires looking beyond the stealth to the dark intentions it was meant to serve. Though invisibility was a remarkable feat, the true danger of the HO2-29 lay in the weapon it was designed to carry. The dirty bomb connection. Hidden in secret documents discovered by American intelligence after the war was a chilling revelation. The HO2-29 was not intended simply to deliver conventional bombs. Instead, it was designed to carry a payload weighing exactly 1,000 kilograms, a number that matched a weapon Germany was developing in secret, often referred to as a dirty bomb. This radioactive bomb was a different kind of threat, combining conventional explosives with radioactive materials from nuclear reactor research. Germany never succeeded in building a true atomic bomb like those later dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. However, their pursuit of nuclear-related weapons took a dangerous detour into radioactive contamination. A dirty bomb's explosion is limited in blast power, but spreads deadly radioactive dust over a wide area, rendering land uninhabitable and poisoning populations long after the initial blast. It was a weapon of terror and toxic contamination rather than outright destruction. The Ho-229's ability to fly fast and evade radar made it the perfect delivery system for such a weapon. Radar stations would detect it only moments before arrival, offering defenders almost no time to respond or intercept. This element of surprise, combined with the devastating contamination effects, made the aircraft a uniquely frightening weapon in development during the final years of the war. Target lists found among secret papers included major Allied cities like London and key troop concentrations moving through Belgium. These targets underscored the strategic intent to sow chaos behind enemy lines on a scale never seen before. The dirty bomb was viewed not only as a battlefield tool, but as a terror weapon capable of shifting the psychological balance of the conflict. The design documents for the Horten HO-18 show an aircraft that would be 3 times the size of existing planes and 6 jet engines and an extended flight range, which enables it to cross the Atlantic Ocean. The enormous aircraft could strike the cities of New York and Washington, which would lead to a global expansion of the conflict. The development of the Horten HO-18 aircraft demonstrates how Germany developed its aerial warfare capabilities to an extreme level because the actual aircraft was never constructed. The construction of one HO-229 aircraft became an impossible task because Allied bombing operations continuously destroyed German industrial facilities. Allied forces destroyed factories and disrupted supply operations, and workers with specialized training were taken away. To protect themselves from air attacks, the Nazis constructed underground factories.
It's amazing that of the technology that existed during the time frame, that they could come up with this type of a vehicle.
By creating underground tunnel systems which extended deep into mountains beyond the range of Allied bombers. The Owl Mountains contained one of the largest underground facilities which exist in present-day southwestern Poland. The Project RES extended for kilometers and contained complete assembly lines together with ventilation systems and power generation facilities. Prisoners from concentration camps were forced to build these vast subterranean factories where tens of thousands lost their lives. This underground area functioned as a concealed combat zone that safeguarded the Ho-229 secret weapons from enemy attacks. Despite these monumental efforts and innovations, time was running out. The war's final months saw one prototype Ho-229 crash fatally during a test flight, and by the time American troops captured the hangar with the nearly finished aircraft, Germany was collapsing. The HO-229's secret and chilling purpose remained unrealized in combat, leaving behind only a legacy of advanced technology entwined with dark ambitions. The HO-229 reflects the intersection of groundbreaking engineering and desperate wartime innovation, where the promise of stealth combined with the menace of radioactive weaponry to create what might have been the world's first truly terrifying aerial weapon. The story of the Ho-229 and its payload opens a window into the extremes of human ingenuity and the high stakes of late World War II. Yet, it also poses haunting questions about what the future of warfare could have looked like. Secret underground factories. As Allied bombers relentlessly pounded German cities and industrial centers, the Nazis scrambled to protect their crucial war production from destruction. One of the most extraordinary responses was building entire factories deep underground, out of reach of air raids. Among these secret sites was a massive complex in the Owl Mountains, present-day Poland, nicknamed RES, meaning giant. This subterranean network extended for kilometers, housing assembly lines, power plants, and ventilation systems inside solid rock. The hidden facility extended its operations because its underground passageway system operated as a complete industrial complex, which contained essential equipment for heavy machinery and full-length train operations. The tunnels had sufficient dimensions to accommodate locomotives that used their rail tracks for material and aircraft part transportation. The project emerged as an engineering achievement that developed through desperate need and secretive work. The human cost of constructing these underground factories was horrific. Prisoners from nearby concentration camps were forced to labor under brutal conditions. The victims who died through starvation, overwork, and abuse during the construction process of the caverns, which protected Germany's new weapon system. The technical achievements that were accomplished during this period of history exist between two extreme requirements of reality. Riese served as the location where workers would construct and operate HO-229 flying wings, which needed protection from both enemy surveillance and Allied airstrikes. Germany placed enormous hope in these hidden factories because it believed that the Allies would fail to destroy their production facilities, which would allow them to win the war through their advanced machinery. The tunnels served as a symbol of industrial strength, while also representing the people who died to maintain that industrial power. The underground complexes failed to impact the conflict despite their large size and ambitious goals. The German forces faced defeat because the Allies continued to advance while their infrastructure deteriorated. The hidden factories that operated during the war faced destruction, but they eventually met their end together with the fall of Nazi Germany. The hope for a last-minute technological breakthrough dimmed rapidly as the front lines closed in. The secret factories proved how far the Nazi regime would go to protect its weapon programs by creating new technologies through their dedication to developing weapons. The presence of hidden sites shows that the war extended beyond battles in the air, because fighters built secret underground facilities to store their most valuable intelligence. The discovery of underground networks through post-war searches brought surprise to Allied forces because it showed them the full extent of German industrial operations, together with the human suffering embedded in the war machine. The research established that Germany had developed extensive military operations to continue its combat efforts. The factories provided a physical refuge for aircraft like the HO-229, but their future operations ended before the planes could achieve any strategic value. The intense warfare operations during the period did not allow enough time for developing these new technologies. The looming collapse of Germany meant that these hidden ambitions would never be fully realized. Yet, the story of the HO-229's tests would be the final chapter of its wartime existence. Test flight and crash. On February 18, 1945, the HO-229 prototype took to the skies for one of its few flight tests, piloted by Erwin Ziller. The aircraft, flying at roughly 800 meters, seemed poised to demonstrate the promise of this revolutionary design. However, disaster struck when the right jet engine caught fire mid-flight. This sudden failure put the plane and its pilot in immediate danger. Without a conventional tail to aid stability and balance, the HO-229 was inherently more challenging to control. Ziller fought to keep the aircraft steady, but with only one engine, the plane quickly spun out of control. The flying wing's unique design, which had offered aerodynamic advantages, now proved a liability in this emergency. The aircraft entered a lethal spin and crashed to the ground. The crash was fatal for Ziller, marking a somber moment for the project. His death underscored the extreme risks faced by test pilots pushing the boundaries of aviation technology during wartime. Despite the tragedy, the flight proved valuable in revealing both the strengths and weaknesses of the design under real-world conditions. The loss of the prototype created major difficulties for the project. American troops captured Friedrich-Roda only weeks after they advanced into the area and found the third HO-229 aircraft, which was almost complete in a hangar. The existence of this aircraft, which had never flown, was considered a valuable achievement because it contained important technological elements. The Americans began to take apart the aircraft after they removed its components, which they placed into crates for shipment to the United States. The HO-229 aircraft would remain secret for public access during the next 30 years, when it would be kept in the Smithsonian Institution's archives. The military engineers studied the aircraft's advanced design, which resulted in the development of future stealth technology. The Ho-229 project in Germany faced complete suspension because of the ongoing military conflict. The regime had reached its end because supply routes had been destroyed and the industrial infrastructure had been demolished. The aircraft, which showed potential to become a revolutionary weapon, remained incomplete because the Third Reich was disintegrating at that time. The advanced technological development of the Ho-229 aircraft met its demise when military conflict began. The weapon lost its ability to change historical events because it arrived after its time. The concepts that it represented would continue to exist in memory. From hidden caves to doomed flights, the Ho-229's war was fought far from the headlines, yet its shadow lingers in the annals of aviation history. Legacy and influence. Though the Ho-229 never saw combat, its impact was far from forgotten. After World War II ended, American engineers carefully studied the captured aircraft and its blueprints. They recognized the potential of its flying wing design and stealth capabilities, elements that were decades ahead of their time. This insight influenced the development of future aircraft, shaping the very blueprint of modern stealth technology. One of the most direct descendants of the Ho-229's design is the B-2 Spirit stealth bomber. Built decades later, the B-2 embodies many of the principles pioneered by the Horten brothers. Blended wing structure, radar-evading materials, and a focus on low observability. The Ho-229 was a ghost plane before stealth was even a concept in military aviation, laying a foundation for a new era of warfare. In 2009, engineers even recreated a full-scale flying replica of the Ho-229 and tested it against 1940s radar systems. The results were stunning. The replica appeared on radar screens not as a large bomber, but more like a small bird, confirming the aircraft's pioneering stealth qualities. This experiment validated what German engineers had accomplished in secrecy more than 60 years earlier.
It looks like with all the data that this aircraft would have made a major difference.
The Ho-229 narrative demonstrates that urgent situations and challenging circumstances create the optimal conditions for innovative development to happen. The German engineers developed a combat machine through their dedication because they faced destruction and collapse, which made them develop technology beyond its standard limits. Their research demonstrates how urgent situations drive people to create new technologies that will not achieve their intended uses during active combat. The Ho-229 demonstrates technical achievements, but it functions as a historical possibility that never became actualized. The weapon remained operational throughout the war, but its deployment as a fighting force remained uncertain. The weapon shows its destructive capabilities through its power to wipe out entire armies and deliver airborne attacks on ground level. The aircraft legacy establishes a permanent presence in history through which people witness technological development today. The Ho-229 serves as a military development, but its primary purpose is to create a system for delivering radioactive munitions that military operations will use. The secretive nature of Ho-229 and its permanent classification, which lasted for decades, demonstrate that its technological capabilities were deemed highly sensitive and powerful. The war ended, but aircraft knowledge remained restricted because people still feared what should stay hidden within defense classified materials. The introduction of this technology led to a new assessment of the technological developments that occurred during World War II. The Ho-229 remains a captivating subject for historians, engineers, and aviation enthusiasts more than 70 years after its initial discovery. The design of this project enables us to study historical events through modern perspectives, which show how innovative design combines with human progress during a dark period of history. The development of technology during chaotic times reveals the multiple forces that drive innovative progress. The Ho-229 was a secret weapon that stayed hidden for decades, an aircraft decades ahead of its time that shaped the future of stealth technology. Its story blends innovation with the haunting realities of war. If you found this journey into history fascinating, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for more incredible stories like this. Thanks for watching.